Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bridging Dimensions. I'm Marguerite Rigoglioso, and in today's episode, I have an absolutely fabulous guest, the lovely, wonderful, and brilliant Julie Belfer, in whose house I am. And I should also say that a guest, a guardian, is Hathor, who's with us today as well. So the reason I wanted to bring Julie in is because I have had a couple of several, let's say, beautiful, very deep medicine healing ceremonies with her. And she has developed herself over the years, both in her personal space with this medicine, and then the last couple of years, right, working with clients. So she has a great body of information that has come through her very deep teachings and experiences that she has collected, recorded from these numerous client sessions. How many would you say you've had over the last few years?
Oh, hundreds.
Yeah, okay. Hundreds.
Very
And
successful.
yes, I'm one of the very lucky ones. Um, so what I'd like to do is just say a little bit about how I have experienced this medicine, and Julie in particular, because a medicine is very much related to the healer that you're working with, how deep you can go, how broadly you can go. And then I'd like Julie to just say a little bit about how she got into this work. And then we're really going to get into it, some of the insights that have been coming that I think are going to help you as the viewer with your own healing. And certainly these are geared toward planetary awakening as well. So let me just start by saying that 6 months ago, as of this filming, I had my first deep dive medicine ceremony with Julie, and it was truly life transformative. I did an incredible healing around the death of my mother when I was 10 years old. I really had never called her into a medicine space, certainly not one that I knew I was going to go very deeply into the dimensions. And we worked in particular with Mother Mary, among other masters and guides. And Julie's expert gliding guidance was truly the, special sauce that made the whole deep healing really happen. I knew as it was happening that it was the healing of my life. And this has continued over 6 months. I really haven't been backsliding in any way. I felt a lot of release of chronic anxiety and PTSD that I've had, that kind of thing. And then just in these past few days, as we've been together, I've been visiting her in this amazing temple. I had another very, very deep ceremony, but this time it was really about the Father and the divine masculine. So both of these, each one had their own personality as journeys, but both very profound things that I know I'm going to be integrating for days, weeks, and months to come. So that's just a little testimonial about some of the power of the container that Julie provides through this particular medicine, which we won't be talking about exactly, but not specifically, but it's a very well regarded medicine that is very healing, very heart opening. So Julie, what I'd like to do is just invite you to tell our viewers about yourself, a little bit about how you got started on this path.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing this, because it's just the perfect bow to the time we've spent together.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about so many wonderful things, wanting to just share them with you.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, the way that I came to this medicine was very much when the student is ready, the teacher will appear scenario. I was at a very transformative time in my life. Lord, that was where I was putting my attention. I knew that I wanted to spend the latter half of my life in a process of continual transformation, that I wasn't going to waste a minute. And so I had a deep focus and intention on this, and I started working with this heart-opening medicine that is very gentle. So what I would say, the the physical feelings of it is that you're just in a very, probably the deepest meditation
Yeah.
that you could experience. And as Marguerite said, it's very heart opening. And so it's really a love journey. It's a celebration of your life. It's a celebration of your own hero's journey, a story that only you can tell from this high ground point of view. And what's happening and what happened to me the first time, and I didn't realize it exactly what I was connecting with or what was going on within this deep communion with yourself. You are connecting to the part of you that is already existing within you, the part of you that is beyond fear and beyond self-judgment. And so
Yeah.
when you, because the medicine is so heart opening, it's lifting your vibration, and you're suddenly beyond these things that would limit us and what we're able to know or see or understand. And you are connecting to the part of you that already exists within you. So very much, it's the bridal chamber. Okay, it's you, it's your humanity with your human, with your eternal self. So you're communing and you're bringing these two together, and it can remain that way. And we can talk about like how it does remain that way.
That's right.
But that is the most important thing, is that it remains this way. And so what was happening was you were just in this deep knowing. Any question that you have, because you're no longer hiding things from yourself. Any question that you have, the knowing comes to you. And you have this feeling that you're, knowing that you're in communication with the masters, with the angels, with your teachers. And one of the things you notice right off the bat is that fear and judgment is behind you. It has no place in these higher energies. It doesn't exist. And so one of the things I was realizing right off the bat was that I was the only one judging myself. It's almost like when you look around a room and you realize, you're the only one doing a move that no one else is doing. You're like, oh my God, it's just me. I realized it was just me that was judging myself. So that really gave me a permission slip to begin divesting myself of these ideas of what was wrong with me, and how I wasn't enough in so many different ways.
That's right. And this is more than just an intellectual experience. When you're in this medicine, you're in these deeper or higher dimensions. You feel it, you know it. So it is a profoundly transformative experience.
You're right. It is. If you feel it, the truth of it in your bones, and you know exactly what energy it is that you're talking to. But it's an emotional experience. It's felt through your feelings and your own internal symbolic language, which you will be surprised at how quickly you come to understand your own internal symbolic language. So it's like you're navigating into these spaces within you, and you're seeing, or you're feeling, or you're knowing, and you know exactly what it's referring to, exactly what it's showing you, how to let go of it.
And I might add that Julie's skill in leading this kind of a journey is key, because you provide subtle prompts, and you provide an energy signature that people come into right away. Which, tell us about that energy signature of how you see a person when they come into your space, which is a real lesson for me as, a healing guide, mentor, and so forth. And I think is a real lesson or reminder for those who are watching, who are healers and guides, or who will become. Tell us about that, because that's really key.
So my job as a guide, as a facilitator, is to guide you to the places within your own internal landscape that you will be bringing yourself your own answers. So I'm weaving you through this landscape to allow you to reveal the wisdom that is within you. And so when she's asking how I see my clients, it's I must, and I do see them in their absolute divinity. They're not separate from it in any way. And so what I'm doing is I'm holding the ceiling high enough, because I'm seeing you in this way, and I become your mirror. So that is helping my clients really reach and understand their own inherent divinity,
Yeah.
absolute inherent divinity. And so they're able to access this deep gnosis and walk away with that experience. We were talking about direct experience and how important it is. So
Yeah.
let's just say I'm talking to you about this experience, and you're theoretically understanding, you know, what I'm saying. Oh, I can understand that intellectually, but my the clients are having this direct experience, so they're feeling it within their entire being, and it's completely different in that way.
Yes.
You don't ever lose it. It's, you know, it continues to ripple out into your life and have effects, and it's just completely a different embodiment of understanding.
That's right. That's right. And I think what made it so transformative for me in being in your healing space was that unconsciously I could pick up on that feeling that Julie had of like a kind of an unconditional love for me.
Mhm.
And she does that with everyone, whether she knows them or she doesn't. She has gone through so many journeys and so much healing and clearing herself that she can be in that space and hold that vibration for people. And so you know, there's learning here for those of us who are clients and for those of us who are teachers and for those of us who are healers and facilitators, you know, in all of what's going on. And that remarkable you know, comfort feather bed that you come into here,
Mhm.
almost literally,
Mhm.
because you lie down
Yeah, it's
on
very
her feather
comfortable.
bed, is really remarkable. And it's what does it. And then you have just these little prompts. And if there's any little sticky areas, first of all, you lead a person in through the ladder of,
Gratitude, thankfulness, steeping yourself in that, in those feelings, imagining a ladder in front of you, or not a ladder, a stairway in front of you, and you're taking each step and spending a moment on each step, really saturating yourself, allowing yourself to well up these feelings of gratitude. And as you continue with each step, you really engage with this medicine on that that level that again is just your prime our primordial state.
yeah,
So this is just a return to our primordial state. And really what I'm doing is just I'm helping people to remember the love that you are.
yes,
And it's as simple as that. I'm helping
yes,
people to remember the love that they are. And it's completely transformative. It changes your life. And you know, it's not necessary for all people, but we are living in such a time when these touchstones, I kind of call it touching base because it is that primordial state, is really helpful, really necessary to just remember who and what we truly are in our creative power, and um, co-create with this divine union and
yes.
ourselves, a path forward, a path
That's
forward.
right. And it is strong because I can attest to that. You know, my life changed dramatically. And I know it's set to change again. Like I've got some guidance and marching orders and things that are practical, as well as emotional for how I'm going to go forward, that my body, mind, spirit was calling for and craving for it and saying, stop, you've got to make some changes right now, sister.
Mhm.
Let's talk. There's so many things I want to
Okay.
ask you. And I know that there are other podcasts about some of the experiences that you've had with this medicine, that we will put in the show notes under this, because there is a very powerful first episode that you did of your own blog with your partner there interviewing you. And that I would highly recommend, because it's a journey into not only self-healing, but meeting our beloved who have crossed over to the other dimension, as I had my mother do. So therefore, I knew Julie was the right one for me, because I'm like, okay, this is a person who can hold this in complete safety and guide me without it getting weird, me wigging out or anything like that. She has her own very, very dramatic story. And if we have time, we might go into a little bit of that. Or, you know, if you want to say any of that now, you certainly can, or.
Well, what I will say about my experience is that it's given me, it's been everything. It's been an epic journey. There has been absolute chaos to a degree that it's hard to imagine. And then there's been wonder and magnificence that's come out of that chaos. And as I stand here and I look back, I see the perfect weaving of my path here, all the steps necessary, and how important it was for everything to exist to be here. So that is also a ripple of being in this state, of returning to this primordial state and remembering, because then you remember the perfectness of your experience.
And that's critical. Let's go into that a little
Okay.
bit more, because that was transformative for me. I know it's transformative for a lot of your clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's the idea that, oh my gosh, once you get to like this eagle's eye view and above, for me, it was like, I felt like I was in the seventh dimension. I saw my life and the people in it, the people who are here now, the people who have passed on, in a very elevated, different way. And that's how I knew, my gosh, there had been an agreement. There had been agreements with each of our souls, for ourselves, for our interactions with each other, that in a sense, it had all been, in a way, planned or
Mm-hmm.
ordained on some level, that everything, no matter how tragic or difficult, had been perfect. That's what you and I,
Yes.
you're saying, and what we've been talking about in the last few days, that there's a perfection in how everything's going. And last night you were helping me flip yet another aspect of my life of, something painful that I had experienced in
Mm-hmm.
childhood, and a chronic ongoing situation that led to my
Mm-hmm.
feeling unworthy. And you helped me flip that. So let's hear you talk about how you help your clients flip from the tragic
Mm-hmm.
into like the triumphant, let's say.
Yes, well, each story is different.
Yes.
Each story is different, but what people are coming to realize within their own journey. So I'm just guiding. I would just be guiding you to the place, and I would remind you to ask yourself this question, and you would be seeing the truth of it within yourself. So
Yes.
it's not that I'm implanting ideas, you're uncovering it, you're revealing it to yourself. And so what typically is happening as you've got this bird's eye view, you're understanding how your would-be perpetrators were actually handing you, or the catalyst for you to find the keys to your freedom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Truly amazing.
in that way, in that knowing, then you're like, how important that step was.
Yeah.
Thank you, or thank you for showing me this feeling, or for feeling this, so I know I could want, or I could reach for something else. Something is, there's a gift in every experience, even if
Yes.
that gift is, the desire for something else. It's a catalyst for you, it's moving you.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And so much forgiveness can come in, right, for our so-called perpetrators, which is a major component of healing. Do you want to say anything about how you're witnessing your clients in their forgiveness journeys?
I will. So what will happen is they'll realize someone that they've been holding accountable, holding anger towards, was really, their not their jailer, but the one who's helping them free themselves from their own jail. So their feelings towards that person shifts because they've given it now a different meaning. They're understanding it from a different perspective. So they're no longer holding that person accountable. They're not longer holding that thread to that person. It's changed the meaning within them. So it's changed their relationship with this person. So we talk about cutting cords. That is a true cutting of a cord. You're letting go of that emotional tie that's been between you. So you're not just magnanimously forgiving them, you're understanding how they've served you.
That's right.
And so you're letting yourself off the hook for carrying those feelings anymore. And you're letting them off the hook because you know that it's been for you, not happening to you.
That's right. I mean, this is the miracle of this kind of a healing setup, this kind of a healing medicine, and the kind of a healer that Julie is, which she brings some real unique gifts, I think. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about the kinds of things that you see regularly come up? universals that
Mm.
might be a little surprising to people. That I know one particular one was, I didn't realize I had that level of unworthiness.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
let's have you talk about the things that you're seeing and how people are transforming through that.
Well, we were talking about like it seems like one of the natural outgrowths of experiencing ourselves as an individuated form of eternity, experiencing ourselves as separate, is that wait a minute, something's wrong. It's so against our natural state of being that it kind of sends up a red flag. And the circumstances of our youth, um, along with that, something's wrong, something's missing, something's wrong with me. That sort of outgrowth of experiencing yourself as separate and unsafe then becomes expressed in so many ways, whether it's self-sabotaging, whether it's a search for perfectionism, or um, so many different ways. But when you whittle everything down, when you look past the actions of everyone on this planet, you can see the lowest common denominator, and that is worthiness, which is, I'm not enough, something's
Yeah,
wrong. And again, I feel that that is, an outgrowth of experiencing ourselves in this way, but it also becomes the catalyst for our journey home.
that's
And
right.
so it's not meant to hold us in one place, a life of servitude and that feeling. It's meant to move us. We're creator beings. And so every experience, as I said earlier, is a gift, has a gift in some way, even if it's moving you to the next feeling
Yeah.
or to the next experience.
And the unworthiness can come in so many different ways. Like for me, the initial unworthiness was when we were working with Mother Mary and my mother. It's like, am I worthy to be with Mother Mary? Am
Mhm.
I worthy to be writing about her, to be a conduit for her energies? Am I worthy to be in the seventh dimension where I'm feeling like I am with her? So that's like one layer, like just this fundamental Adam and Eve born in sin, unworthiness
Mhm.
kind of feeling. Like that's
Mhm.
what we're coming up against. And then
Yes.
it can have many other things like, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not
Mhm.
good enough, or I'm too much this or too little
Mhm.
that, or and it just that surprised me when you said that although each ceremony is different, that is
The lowest.
typically a common
It's
denominator,
the
lowest common
lowest common
denominator.
denominator. We're all learning. We're all in this journey of learning to love ourselves. And in my opinion, that is the rise of the feminine. That
Yeah.
is the rise of compassion, unconditional love, but all for the self, turning
Yes.
it inwards, doing this first. It's an inside job, and then it becomes reflected
That's
in our
It
experience.
really does become reflected in
Mhm.
our experience. Do you want to talk about some of the things that you see in your life or in clients' lives that start shifting as a
Mm,
result of realizing,
yes.
shining the light on the unworthiness, which by the way, I didn't really think I had an unworthiness thing going on. Many people don't. They're like, oh, I love myself, or, I'm okay. And then when you get into that space, you're like, whoa, I did not realize the depth of this and how this is running my life. So once you get at the crux of it and you help people to feel that sense of unification with self, unification with source,
Mhm.
the divine, what happens with your clients as they go forward?
Oh, wow. They begin to transform. They begin to unburden themselves of these beliefs and ideas that were um, holding them in place. And that process is really interesting because we form relationships with the bars that we put around us, that keep us in place. We love them because they've kept us, we know them. We love them
Yeah.
because we know them, and better that than the unknown.
Mhm.
And so that becomes its own process of gently letting things go. It's not a pushing away, it's a realization of what you've been to me, my relationship with you, and then turning your attention towards that which you're ready to experience now.
Yes.
So it's not a pushing away, it's an allowing, and then allowing to flow through you and then moving to what it is you'd like in a way that's uncumbersome now, because you're no longer dragging this behind you and holding on to it.
That's right. And before we get into some maybe specifics of what you've seen people do or change, I mean, I can share some of my own. The instruction that you gave me, now go forth and
Find evidence.
let's have you talk
Okay.
about that. That is one of the most powerful parts of it, because it sort of seals it
Mhm.
and gives you the direction forward. And that's why there's little backsliding. Okay.
Yes. So, we're in a feedback loop here. And what we believe, the ideas that we're building, the beliefs that we hold, the thoughts that we think, they're creating the structure of our experience. So
Yeah.
we're creating with these ideas and beliefs, and then our external experience is validating them. It's giving us experiences that reflect those feelings and ideas back to us. And so in a state, it's really always proving us right. We're always being proven correct. But if we don't know that that's what's happening, we just believe that that's true. I'm not worthy. Okay, so it's showing me, and I'm giving an experience of where I'm not feeling worthy. And if you're not realizing that that's just a reflection of your belief,
Yeah.
then you're saying, oh God, that's proof. I am unworthy. And so you double down on that belief. And then that brings another experience that rolls back to you that confirms that. And so what's happening is you're building this mountain of evidence based on just a belief. But when you realize that you can believe something else, and
Yeah.
just equally that would be as true, and you could start collecting evidence for that belief.
Yes.
It's a matter of what is it that you want to experience. You know that this is a feedback loop type of experience. So it's not, it's what do I want to be true? What do I want to experience? I know what not feeling worthy feels like. Experienced so many years of that. What would it be? What would it feel like to feel worthy? I want that. And all it really takes is a bit of curiosity. You don't have to know it. You don't have to believe it. You have to be curious about what would it be like to feel this? I'd like to experience that. And then as you're talking and creating with that idea and that belief, then the universe gives you an experience. Well, you could feel worthy like this. Oh, thank you for helping
That's
me.
right.
It becomes some experience within your day. Someone is showing you how you've meant what you've meant to them. And you're like, oh, thank you. That's a little
Evidence.
piece of evidence I'm going to
Let me
start
write it down.
collecting. And I'm going to start
Literally.
building the case that I'm worthy.
And the reason why it's easier to do that after this experience is because not only do you go to the place of the unworthiness realization in the medicine at some point or another, but you go into the place of connection.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. You really feel the
Mhm.
worthiness. You move
Mhm.
past the unworthiness into the worthiness,
Mm.
into the feeling of being held down to your bones, down to your DNA, the rightness of your life, the wisdom of your decisions, even if they seemed chaotic at the time. And then you have that experience of feeling held. So it's in your body, mind, spirit. That's the energy that you then take forward. It's not just an idea, okay, I think I'm going to start thinking about believing something else. No, it's like, I now carry this experience. Let me find
Mhm.
the evidence for it. And literally writing it down is very, very powerful.
Mhm.
But talk a little bit more about that feeling of unity that people
Mhm.
experience.
That a divine union. At first, it feels like, oh, I'm connecting to more of something. And you first just think that it's, even though it's coming from within you, that you're having to reach out to connect to something.
Mhm.
But, and it feels very familiar. It just feels very wise
Yes.
and very compassionate. But it feels familiar. And the reason it does is because it's you. It's more of you. And so this experience, which is the divine union, is meant to be carried forth with you into your life.
Yes.
You're not meant to compartmentalize it as if, okay, this is me in ceremony, and then this is me just living my life separately.
Right.
So it's a recognition that you are already and have always been connected with your soul. And so now in this recognition, you allow it to inform you in your thoughts and words, but literally inform your body into this
Yes.
expanded sense of self. And so then you're walking forward in life in this divine union. And what that, how that feels and what that looks like is that you're processing life now on two different levels. You're
Yeah.
seeing what it was, because that's known, and you're recognizing it, you're looking at the action, sort of your human way, but you're also looking behind the actions, looking past the actions and feeling into the emotions of what's being expressed. And that's where the coherence is within the world, that you see that everyone's acting out the same emotions just differently.
Hmm.
And
That's right.
so your compassion, because you're living in this divine union, which is full of compassion, full of those feminine traits. That's why it's the rise of the feminine, this compassion that you're feeling for yourself, is then you are able to feel it for others. And so you're walking in life completely differently. And we were saying that it doesn't require you to stand on a pulpit and pronounce these changes that are going on within you. You can if you like, but that's not how it works. It's an inside job. You're shifting within.
Hmm.
And then what happens is your external world shifts.
Yes. People will notice. First of all, people will notice what's going on. They'll be like,
They'll ask
wow,
you.
I'm having what she's having,
Yeah.
And then you also send out a new energy pulse
Hmm.
in that magical way. And then things start kind of rearranging,
Yes.
that you are not necessarily seeing a linear pathway
Hmm.
to what happened. Like for me, one of the things that I started experiencing after that first ceremony was I was aware of every single behavior, how I was acting towards someone, where it was coming from, whether it was coming from a healed place or whether it wasn't.
Hmm.
So I was able to pivot, and, then again, be with people in a different way, be with clients in a different way, be on interviews in a different way. And people were commenting. I had somebody text me from like 10, 15 years ago working with me saying, wow, that answer you gave to that question was so compassionate. I really see a change and growth inside you. And I was like, wow, thanks so much. And then magically, just the way my school was starting to enroll and it just started changing. So can you think of other examples of what you've seen in the lives of your clients after they have
Yes.
this like new earth type of experience?
But what I want to explain is what you were experiencing was a part of yourself was being held as the neutral observer.
Mm,
So when she was realizing her interactions and what was going on, it wasn't a judgmental observer. Oh, you're
no.
doing wrong. It was a very neutral,
Yes.
a very kind voice, just an awareness. This is
Awareness.
what I'm doing, and giving you like a little breath of space to consider then what it is, how you'd like to be, and then pivot. That's what you're talking
That's
about,
right.
pivoting, and being in a different way, and
That's
just
right.
trying it out. It's all it takes really is curiosity.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really just does. You do not have to fake it till you make it. You just have
No.
to be curious.
Yes.
And that is your fuel. What to answer your question, one of the things that happens, and this kind of is going along with what you were saying, is that as we are transforming inside, the world transforms outside. So what happens is you begin to see different versions of people. People start to
Yeah.
show up differently for you because you're
Yes.
different. So you're seeing different versions of them.
Yeah, it's almost like a timeline thing or a
Yeah, it's a
reality,
shift. You'll see your
a
reality shift.
different reality it starts emerging. Yeah.
Mhm. And so you no longer want to hold people in a box. You no longer want to limit people as to what you think is possible for them based on previous behaviors,
That's right.
because that's limiting to them. And you're not wanting to limit yourself. You're wanting to transform. So you're open to be surprised to see what the world can show you, what your relationships can show you, because
Yeah.
and that again and again, I would say from my clients when we're touching base afterwards, we're just, talking, they are astounded at how life is showing up completely differently for them. People are showing up completely differently. So that is like a really fun one because it becomes like a timeline shift, as you said.
Yes, it is truly remarkable. Um, so let's talk about just good, excellent. Let's talk about not only the personal that goes on when people enter the feather bed
Mhm,
of the deeper dimensions,
mhm,
held in love in source creator energy, which is we discover is ourselves.
mhm,
Um, we are directed inward towards self-love, toward as a means of healing the unworthiness, toward seeing the rightness of everything, toward just seeing the bigger picture of what's been going on in our lives, and maybe even in the world. Let's talk about some of the implications of this
mm,
kind of experience in one-on-one or small groups and the availability of these types of medicines for the larger planetary awakening.
mhm,
How is this part of that? How is this propelling that? How is this part of the now time where so many of us are feeling squeezed through the
mhm,
mesh, through the sieve, bouncing off the walls? We don't even really know what's going on, but an energy frequency is raising up and it's looking like, oh, crisis, illness, government going insane, whatever it is.
mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about the implications and the possibilities.
Okay. Well, I want to start out by saying that these medicine practices have been going on throughout history since ancient times as a way of connecting. These medicines were seen as gifts from the gods for the purpose of connecting. So they saw it completely differently, and we kind of need to accept the bias that we have now, so that we're so much more divorced from nature, the natural world, and what is good for us. We sort of give away that power by experts, looking towards experts.
Mhm.
So this is a return to what has been. This is a letting go of no pain, no gain. This is like giving yourself what you need.
Yeah,
This is and that's part of that compassion for the self.
yeah,
I if I'm really struggling and I need to experience the bridal chamber, then I'm going to give myself that experience because I know that that's going to serve me. And that's very autonomous. That's very empowering when you start to know what you need and you start to give yourself what you need. And so there's just this convergence of all these things that are helping us as we're being squeezed, as we're moving through this birthing.
that's right. Be it the photon belt, be it whatever they're
Yeah.
calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much as one person at a time or as groups,
Mm-hmm.
experience this. And yes, I think it really, you and I had received a lot of information in one of our ceremonies about the sacred family, the Sophia Christos family
Mm-hmm.
of Yeshua, his mother Mary, her mother Anne, Hannah, Mary Magdalene, John the Baptist, and even all the extending to the apostles who were learning these things from Jesus and Blessed Mother, and then Magdalene as she kind of opened and opened and opened her knowledge. And we were seeing that clearly medicines must have been a part of it because there's no way you can just blah blah talk to someone,
Yeah.
here's some ideas, go change your life, go have a different experience. Not going to happen. That's why these Eleusinian mysteries were taking place, life transforming. Those priests and priestesses knew how to bring 3,000
Mm-hmm.
people in a weekend, okay,
Mm-hmm.
to an experience. But of course, there'd been a whole slew of years of preparation, for this on the part of each initiate. But yeah, that feeling that the Sophia Christos mission was awakening all the apostles with these medicines, these oils of joy, these communion cups, whatever was
Mm-hmm.
in them that Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and the myrrhophores, the myrrh bearers
Mm-hmm.
were helping to create. Let's talk
And
a
there,
little bit about that.
yeah, and there's
Yeah.
so much evidence that supports that, whether they're, examining the contents of the what's the residue on the altars or within cups or within the wine barrels, finding that they were fortified, meaning they were psychedelic.
Yes.
And so this was definitely a part of their experience. And again, they looked at it differently, completely differently, as gifts from the gods for this. The ultimate, where we're going is that this is just us 2.0. This is us in our natural walking state.
Yeah.
And, that can happen as quickly, as easily, as gracefully as you decide, because you're the
Yes.
one deciding, you're the one creating your transformation. You're the one deciding how it needs to feel, how it should feel, how it should look by your thoughts. And so I would definitely want to remind, and I do remind my clients that they're the ones determining this. So how would you like your healing to be? How would you like for it to feel? And so, but the important part, and I always come back to this, is that the bridal chamber experience is meant to
This
be
inner
lived.
unification, right? Inner unification.
And that unification goes with you everywhere. You're now walking continually with this expanded sense of self. You can imagine what that's doing is this expanded state of knowing who and what you are. You're not just human identity. You've expanded your awareness as to who, what you are, as to, I now know that my eternalness is not separate from me. So we're living in this divine union. And so what that does is, you can imagine your aperture for receiving, which we were talking
Yes,
about,
a biggie.
is opening. So you're allowing yourself to receive more of the wisdom and the knowing that is within you, because you realize that it's already there. So you've made it known to yourself. So now you can receive it.
That's right.
So much of our experience is predicated on what we believe. If we don't believe something to exist, we won't experience it.
Yes.
So you now know that this divinity, this divine union, you're existing and walking in this, so you can then receive it. So it's like, eventually, you're drinking through a fire hose of information, of knowing, of connectivity. And it is the evolution of man. It's the next step in humanity's evolution.
Yeah, and you're not overwhelmed by that. You can drink from that fire hose. It's like, yeah, bring it on. And we're expanding our capacity for expressing and living in our soul source energy, right? And for me, this process has been in the most the major ceremony that you led me through recently, that receivingness. I literally, as I'm lying there in this deeper dimensional state, I can literally see, like, the energy could come in so far and then was like, boom. And I was like, wow, I literally need to open my chakras or my energy body and let this come all the way down into me. And I realized how much I had been blocking myself from receiving universal life force support energy. So I was running around and working really hard. And if you're not receiving, you're not in your feminine, you're not allowing, you're not drinking, filling your cup on a daily basis. And I was just given a real redirect around that. Like, if you want to heal certain things that are going on in your body, you want to calm down and open up daily. And that really goes along with the self-love, that I deserve it, that I deserve to take my first couple of hours of the day, not running around working, but just tending to the body, mind, spirit temple. And then countless subtle little ways, just receiving the sunlight, receiving the sunshine. I mean, receiving a smile from someone else, right?
And so much of it is realizing, just like you are pointing out, that you're already doing it.
Yeah.
I'm already receiving. It's a story in our head that it's hard for me to receive love. It's hard, it becomes a story, and so that it becomes truth and it becomes the experience. But a lot of times you're out and you're sort of receiving this goodness, and you then begin to realize, oh, I do. This is me. I enjoy this. Yes. Thank you for this realization, more. And so you begin to build that, again, looking for pieces of evidence. Oh, I already do receive the light of the sun, of the light of God, the beauty. And so you just are opening your capacity and your realization that you're already doing it, and you can do more of it. So, but what's funny is we were talking about this loving yourself, this moving into the self-love, this greater sense of self-love is not doing more.
Mhm.
It's actually doing less.
Yeah.
So, the hard part is the way that we have been doing it, which is, picking apart our humanity in the search for wholeness. That's the difficult part. Holding on to our wounds, tending to them like plants in a garden, holding on to them. So this return to love is an unburdening. It's a letting go. It's like cleaning out your closet. Um, and it becomes addictive. We were talking about that. It's like, oh yeah, I'll let that go. That feels so good. Okay, what else can I let go of?
Addictive to letting go of stuff, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the addiction you want.
Right.
What other story, what other reality, can I let go of? How can I see this differently? Or how
Mhm.
can I understand, manifest and create what I want? So there's a lot of manifestation through visualization, intention,
Mhm.
trust and hope.
Mhm.
Let's have you talk a little bit about that, because I really felt like you had certainly given me, it was partly encoded in the now go forth and see how things are different, right?
Mhm.
Um, but there's a gift that you have of just seeing, of just in your own life and then helping others manifest what they want
Mm.
in the context of these medicine journeys.
Mhm.
Um, let's see if you can bring to fore some of your thoughts about helping people manifest the reality that they want now that they've worked through some of this material in the medicine.
Mhm. Yes. So that, and that's tied to trust,
Yes.
being able to trust the self, being able to trust yourself to make a decision, learning that there is no wrong decision, that the universe will rearrange itself around you. You can never be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And so all this, it basically is developing a deeper relationship with the universe and the way you're interacting with the universe so you can trust your environment. We were talking last night about not feeling safe and, how can anyone be expected to thrive if they're not feeling safe?
Yeah.
So this trusting is not just yourself, it's your relationship with all that is, to all that is, and that it's inherent support of you. So in the same way, you're asking for and moving towards experiences where you can trust, whether that starts out as synchronicities,
Mhm.
you're walking the 11:11, 11:11, or whatever it is that, oh, you're, a wink from the universe. It's working with you. Okay. All right. So then let's play a little bit more. I would like to experience I would like this,
Yeah.
and moving towards that, and then being able to read the signs, that are winking at you through your experiences throughout the day. So it's everyone's going to have their own individual path. That's your
Yeah.
hero's journey. This is that touching that element of the supernatural and coming back with its gifts, and then folding it into your life and seeing how you can play.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. That's your only job, your
Yeah.
only real true job here.
That's right. And one thing I have just loved about these medicine experiences with this particular medicine versus some others that I've used where I get a lot of information,
Mhm.
but I'm not necessarily having the inner transformation. It's not quite affecting me at the heart level,
Mhm.
Um, one of the things I love is just that feeling of relief,
Mm.
that feeling of finally safety, which you
Mhm.
do such a great job creating that safe container. And then I'm able to see, what does it mean to feel safe? Like if you ask somebody, do you feel safe? I'm like, well, yeah, but then you really look at, like for myself, how was I working in
Mhm.
a frenzied way that indicated that I really didn't feel safe in life, that I had to keep running and running. And also that I realized that I had a permanent kind of, or, I had put up a kind of a protection barrier
Mm.
against people or things because I just didn't trust that things were going to go right, because things had seemingly gone wrong numbers of different times in my life, seemingly, course, now we know that it was all perfect, but um, we can realize the degree to which we have not been feeling safe, and how we've been responding to not feeling safe, what we've been doing. And therefore, when you start having those realizations, then you can let down those barriers. You can choose other things. Once having felt that connection, that inner connection, that bridal chamber that Julie is talking about, it is a memory that you,
It's
it's a
obvious.
reality that you carry with you going forward.
Yeah.
Right. And this is what we want. We want to live like this is the memory of Eden, of Lemuria.
Yeah.
And it's where we're going in the new earth. You know, I feel this is part and parcel of our evolution back out of the nadir of the Kali Yuga, right? We're now kind of coming out of that.
Yes. And, you know, again, it's that return to our primordial state. And what you were saying earlier about boundaries and not feeling safe, you know, when we're creating strong boundaries, it's a form of protection. And so you're only at best ever living in a protected state. And how can one be expected to thrive when they are not trusting and having to protect themselves? So what happens, and I was telling Marguerite that I only explore this with my clients while they're in the medicine, because then they'll actually feel it, that your true boundary, the only boundary that you will ever need is love, is your own vibration of love, because everything is happening based on vibrational equivalence.
Yes.
So the vibration that you are becomes your would-be protection.
That's right.
Your sovereignty, you could call it. And it also is your gift. It's your gift to everyone. We could see that Mary Magdalene and going through the fields, and their gift, it was their gift of their presence, their gift of their soul energy was their purpose. It was like they were turning one light on at a time by walking through and just being themselves.
Yeah.
You've heard it. Just be yourself.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
what is myself? Okay, this loving, source created, source connected individual, you know. That's
God walking in a body.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
right.
in this fractal universe,
That's
you're
right.
fractals of God walking in a body.
Yeah.
And so it's a return. It will be a return to the gods walking the earth.
Wow. Take a breath, everybody. That's very profound. That's where we're going. We've been talking a lot about ascension and inner divinity. This is it. This is a stepway, a pathway, a very good one, you know, through these medicine realms where we get into the higher dimensions, interiorly, out of the density of the third dimension where things seem so unbelievable, unreal, and you know, we kind of can't get with that understanding. But once we get into those deeper and deeper dimensional states, then we are accessing that inner divine. And it is a form of process, a step along the way of this ascension or ascension that so many of us are talking about. You know, what does this mean? Holding our divinity, holding our love, holding our sense of sovereignty, safety through, you know, beingness, through love, and then shifting the reality field from that 0 point, you know, from within us, and watching it happen. And that's why, you know, in this now time where there's so much stress, many people are experiencing incredible things, breakdowns, you know, whatever, illnesses, losing it, just very deeply upset about what's going on out there. What I'm coming to learn is that, well, the ascension or ascension is really just stepping into these deeper dimensions while you were in this body, walking around from that place and projecting your visions from that place. And then I'm really understanding that you will have a different experience of what's going on the earth. You will have a different experience of reality. You will be in that new earth. And that's what it's all about. It may not be bifurcation of two earths and all of a sudden, bye-bye, you know, all those people are going to go to some other dimension or die. It's like, no, we might be in the same kind of three-dimensional space, but some of us have been able to reconnect with ourselves and manifest from that place, while some others are still struggling just because that's where they are in their journey. And they may hear something at some point that gives them a door, into relief of their pain and suffering, or a new explanation of what's happened. They may not, and it's all perfect, right? But for those of us who do want to go into this new earth path, this is a very critical, to my mind, ancient future method of doing so.
Yes, and what I was thinking of when you were talking was it's the same energies that are creating this squeeze, this difficulty, is also the same energy that's creating and allowing for the magic in our lives to become more present and known. So it's serving us in so many ways. More people are able to connect and channel and their own inner wisdom. And it's just the realms, so all the realms are becoming less and less opaque.
That's right.
So it's like, and one, it's making it more difficult, but one, it's creating, it's the duality.
That's
the duality right there.
You can pop right into the next dimension by virtue of this pressure. And I see that all the time in my clients, in my one-on-one, I'll have people say, well, I woke up in this year, or, and I'm like, that's their language, right? So these things are happening, and it sounds like you're having that experience in your own life and with your clients. And it had reminded me, well, I'll come back to it, but let's talk about some of the crises that you're seeing your clients come to you with, that they're wanting the deep healing around. I already talked about mine, connectivity with my mother, or knowing she was okay, connectivity with the divine masculine, and all the ramifications in my life. What else are you seeing that?
Self-forgiveness is something that a lot of people are coming in with, that they're holding themselves to these impossible ideals of perfection, and finding a way to forgiving themselves, which really, we were talking about this last night, which is just shifting, looking at the larger picture and shifting at what that experience means to you. So you've given it this one meaning, and then and you don't like that, so you're judging it, and you're judging yourself that you went through this. I did this terrible thing. Then when you're looking from the high ground and you're realizing, oh, that needed to happen. I needed to know that feeling, that experience, so I could then move over here and be able to do this, and possibly be able to serve. So they're changing what that experience means to them. That then allows them to no longer hold themselves in the place of, accountability, because they're like, oh, great, it's worked for me. It means something different. And then they're able to let the people that were related to that experience off the hook. They're letting themselves kind of off the hook for holding on to that. And they're moving forward. So that's how self-forgiveness becomes actualized in that experience. And so that's a big one, self-forgiveness. And a lot of people are, another aspect of self-forgiveness is that they're so hard on themselves that they've come to this experience now in midlife. Why couldn't I have done this when I was in my 20s? Why couldn't I have picked up on this, and my whole life would have been different? And so again, what they see within their own mind's eye is that now is the only time. Now is the perfect time. It couldn't have happened any other time. The
divine ordained time.
Because everything else needed to happen before. And so that is just another way. So much is resolved by this high ground perspective, this omnipresent perspective. And so what's happening is that they're taking this with them. They now know that this is just me now. I'm able to see, I'm able to know from here. So they're now walking through life, and they're applying that to everything they're seeing. And it's literally like cleaning out your closet. Oh, I can let go of That
Yes.
meaning thinking that was wrong for me. Oh, I can let go of feeling like a victim of life.
That's a critical thing that you come away with, no longer feeling like a victim,
Mm-hmm.
but that there's been a divine grace to the orchestration of your life, and that you can continue that going forward in a more mindful way,
Mm-hmm.
in a more healed way. And so it sounds like people come to you with all sorts of issues, relationship issues, divorce issues, sexuality issues, career issues, death issues, illness issues, right? They come with the gamut.
Let me talk about my favorite one though.
Okay.
So mostly, and I would say this is mostly women, for whatever reason, will come, and I ask everyone to, bring me a list of their intentions, things they'd like to explore. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people will bring me a list of things that are wrong with them: my back, my shoulder, this, my thyroid. They've got this long list of things that need fixing. And what is just like my favorite thing that happens is when they're in the medicine, when they're in the journey space, they realize they've got this whole long list and they're going through this list. And, one will say, it's the answer to every question. It's the answer. I'm getting the same answer to every question I have. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I just think there's something wrong with me. So I keep creating things that I become real to me as being wrong.
Yeah.
Evidence of my belief that something is wrong with me. And then
Yes.
they're in this space, with their mask on, and they're like, what? There's nothing wrong. What if there was nothing wrong? Who would I be if there was nothing wrong? So it's like they just, slashed and burned through their list.
Yeah.
And they're thinking and understanding completely differently. And so their work, if it's work, post journey, is to continue with the curiosity of the idea is, what if there was nothing wrong with me?
Yeah.
Who would I be then? What would it be like to experience that? And so they move in that direction. Or what somebody else's there's just that happens again and again. So I'm trying to think of each client's own way of putting it, but they're coming to this realization almost immediately with this divine union, this divine communion with their self.
Yeah.
They're beyond fear.
Yes.
Okay, they're beyond self-judgment in the vibrational, accords. And so they can see clearly, that all of these issues that they're experiencing are merely reflections of a core idea or belief that they've been creating with for 10 to 20 years or 15 years. And they're just emanations of that. And so we're not fixing those. We're understanding the belief we've been creating with and saying, oh, what would happen if I believed something different?
Yes.
Let's be curious about that.
And let's just pause and think, put this out there. What would it be like if you knew, you're safe? What would it be like if you know nothing is wrong with you? What would it be like if you know deep in your bones that you're worthy of connection with the divine, you're worthy of your skills and your talents? What would it be if you knew that you could start creating a new road, not just as a write down exercise, but as a living, breathing experience? I mean, these are the kinds of things that this ancient future medicine work really holds for us. This is the deep level of healing that I know I have been seeking, and that I know a lot of people are seeking. And I'm so glad that somebody like you is doing this. And it sounds like at some point you're going to be training people in how to do this kind of work themselves. And let's talk about how you can be contacted, and we'll put the information in the show notes as well under.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is so profound, and probably the thing I hear most throughout each ceremony is, everybody needs to try this. Everyone needs to know this space. This everybody needs to remember this, is what they're really. saying. And so, it's like wildfire. It's spreading like wildfire. And so, yeah, there's more than, that I could be as busy as I want to be. So really, but what they're coming out of this and they're wanting to pay it forward and they're wanting to serve others. They're wanting others to know, to remember themselves, to remember the love that they are. And so I have a website, IamMyOwnTeacher.com. And there are different mentorship programs. One is called the Journey to Truth, which anyone who was wanting to facilitate, to become a facilitator, would go through. And it consists of these deep universal truths that have been uncovered while in ceremony,
Yeah.
and exploring those and helping each of you discover them for yourself, realizing that you are your own best teacher,
Mhm.
and the ceremony is one of your greatest classrooms.
It certainly is. Oh my goodness. All right. You are your own.
I am my own teacher.
I am my own
I'm my
teacher.
name,
I
I'm
am
my own
my own teacher.
teacher.com.
Excellent. We'll put that in the show notes. Along with other means. Is there another means by which somebody could contact you, or
Info
through-
at IamMyOwnTeacher@gmail.com.
okay, info@IamMyOwnTeacher@gmail.com.
Yes.
Any final words before we conclude just this conversation?
I'm just so happy to talk about this. I feel like it is the most important thing that we can do for ourselves. Such an act of great self-love to turn your attention inwards, seeking more of the self. And so I just know that whether it's through medicine or any other modality, to experience these altered states of awareness, whether it's breath work or meditation or dance, which is so fun,
Yeah.
or any kind of artistic ability, that is the truth is within us. And so we're just going to keep finding more and more ways to experience that, I feel like.
Yes.
And this
Absolutely.
is one way now, and I'm just so happy to share it. I'm so happy at what it's giving people and how they're wanting them to bring it forward to their community and their loved ones.
That's right. Well, we are so happy that you're in this world.
I love you.
I love you. Oh my gosh. This has just been a life-changing revelation, pivot, new directional for me. And I'm so, so grateful.
Me too.
And I know
Me
many,
too,
many
for you.
others. Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
darling. Yeah. Sisterhood. All
Yeah.
right. Sisterhood, everybody. So with that, we will just say goodbye for now. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode, that you are curious, that you are interested, that you will want to contact Julie and explore what this might mean for you. And we'll just say lots of love and bye for now.
Bye for now.